You didn't search for this. This found you. In the quiet interval between one breath and the next, the algorithm of the cosmos placed you here, as if a hidden hand adjusted the dial and landed your attention on the exact frequency that knows your name. You feel it in your chest first, a subtle pressure, like a door that wants to open from the inside. You suspect this isn't entertainment, not really. It's a summons, a resonance, a signal from the quantum field that the observer loop you have been unconsciously running is ready to be rewritten in light. You have tasted hints of this for years, those sudden pulses of clarity, those eruptions of synchronicity that arrive too precisely to be dismissed as accidents. You wonder why certain numbers stalk your days, why the right message appears at the right moment, why time sometimes stretches and sometimes snaps like a thread of glass. Somewhere beneath your ordinary schedule, a sacred clock is ticking. It counts not minutes but coherence, those moments when your mind, breath and biofield phase lock into stillness and the world rearranges itself around your interior geometry. There is an architecture to awakening, and you've been walking its spiral without noticing. It begins with noticing, realizing that your attention shapes probability like a sculptor's hand shapes wet clay. In physics, entanglement means two particles remain connected regardless of distance. In you, it means meaning itself is braided through your days, binding your future self to your present choices. Your next 24 hours are not random. They are a consecrated corridor, a designed sequence in which the field will mirror what you decide to broadcast. Listen closely. The universe isn't testing you, it is tuning you. Every breath is a metronome, every heartbeat is a metrical gate. When breath and heart enter coherence, the morphic resonance of your lineage, both blood and star, begins to sing through your cells. You are not trying to become spiritual, you are remembering that your biology is already luminous. DNA restructuring isn't a metaphor here. It is the cellular consequence of a consciousness that stops oscillating between doubt and desire and surrenders to a single steady tone. You have been circling a threshold for some time, the way a comet loops toward a star, until one last nudge tips its path forever. That nudge is attention, consecrated as devotion, not forcing, not grasping. Devotion. The relaxed, unshakable choice to hold your signal when circumstances wobble. The quantum field obeys the steady signal. It waits for you to stop blinking first. Tonight, yes, tonight the corridor begins. Imagine a bell ringing across the hours, a soft gold note every time your mind would normally fracture into scrolling, second-guessing, rehearsing old outcomes. Each ring is an invitation to return to the frequency that found you. You are not late. You are precisely on time for the phase transition that dissolves the husk of the life you've outgrown and reveals the pattern underneath the true architecture, the hidden scaffolding of grace that has been holding you all along. So breathe and feel the edges of your awareness soften. Feel the air as a message. Feel the ground as a witness. Feel how the space around you brightens slightly when you choose presence over prediction. You did not come here to be convinced. You came to be confirmed. Your future is calling from the other side of 24 sacred hours, and the line is clear. Keep listening. As the bell of awareness keeps sounding across your hours, the patterns step forward, familiar, almost tender, in how predictably they arrive. You notice the way mornings begin with a micro-surge of possibility before the old observer loop boots up like legacy code. The mental tap dance, the phantom obligations, the reflex to check what other people think before you check what your body knows. You tell yourself it's just momentum, but momentum is only memory in motion. This is not failure, it is untreated coherence. Your field has been broadcasting on two stations at once, one tuned to trust, the other tuned to evidence, and the static between them has been interpreting itself as your life. Consider the déjà vu that swirls through your days like a shy comet. You walk into a room and your skin recognizes it before your eyes do. A sentence lands in conversation that you've heard but never heard. A song you don't remember. Learning plants your feet in a place outside the map. This is not nostalgia. It is entanglement with adjacent timelines, nearby versions of you brushing sleeves in the quantum field. The sensation that you've been here before is your nervous system reading morphic resonance, the echo of a choice you almost made, a signal from the higher timeline bleeding through the thin wall of probability. Distorted time has been your quiet teacher. Some days collapse like paper hours vanish, and you are left with the chalk outline of yourself. Other days dilate until minutes feel cathedral-sized, sound ringing and ringing in the vaulted space. You've blamed sleep, diet, stress, all honest factors, none ultimate causes. The deeper cause is tempo mismatch, your inner metronome trying to entrain to a rhythm the outside world does not honor yet. When your breath and heart achieve micro-coherence, time obeys. When you scatter your attention, time fragments and spins, the shards feel like urgency. You've seen how synchronicity flares right after surrender and then dims when you audit it for proof. The text arrives exactly when you exhale. The opportunity appears the moment you stop insisting. But if you reach for it with the old scarcity grip, the lattice collapses into noise. This is decoherence in life clothes, the same physics that dissolves delicate quantum states under harsh observation. Your field isn't fragile. Your attention is simply overarmed measuring, evaluating, verifying, interrogating the miracle until it confesses nothing. The cure is not passivity, it is soft gaze observing with warmth rather than extraction. Your body has been narrating the loop all along. Tightness along the sternum when you abandon your inner tempo. Heat in the throat when a truth cues up and you mute it. A brittle crown ache after scrolling through realities you never asked to inhabit. These are not random discomforts. They're the somatic Morse code of misalignment. DNA restructuring begins when the message is received without self-indictment. Not what's wrong with me, but what is the field asking me to tune? The relational sphere repeats the lesson with elegant insistence. People arrive like mirrors with specific curvatures, bending your light to reveal the distortions you carry. The one who withholds activates your old chase. The one who floods you with attention tests your capacity to receive. The one who is perfectly timed and then vanishes is the phase transition catalyst, the universe striking flint to show you the spark is inside you. None of this is punishment. It is precision medicine, targeted to the exact belief that fractures your signal. Even money, that condensed chorus of agreements, has been reading your frequency rather than your affirmations. When you hold abundance as a state of readiness instead of a scoreboard, it canvases your life with quiet generosity, unexpected refunds, bridges of support, the right introduction delivered as if by wind. But when you flash the searchlight of doubt across the field, possibilities retreat, not because they don't exist, but because interrogation collapses them to the smallest admissible form. Reality will not testify under duress. And what of purpose the ache that wakes you in the unlit hour? You keep trying on identities the way a traveler tries garments in a market, each one briefly radiant and then oddly heavy. The heaviness is the hint. Purpose is not an outfit. It is a pressure gradient between who you've allowed yourself to be and what the quantum field knows you are. The gradient equalizes the moment you stop bargaining with your own magnificence. Then the tasks that used to deplete you become waterways. The same actions conducted in coherence generate energy instead of burning it. So, here is the clean diagnosis. You are not broken, you are double exposed. Two realities overlapping in your aura, one authored by rehearsal, one authored by remembrance. The friction you feel is the rub between them, the heat of emergence. You don't need to fix the past or accelerate the future. You need to release the grip that keeps measuring this moment against anything but itself. When you do, the déjà vu stops being eerie and becomes directional. Time ceases to stutter and begins to sing, and the doors you've been knocking on from the outside are discovered already open from within. Now the why begins to reveal itself, not as abstraction, but as circuitry. You are a biological antenna tuned to the quantum field, and the observer loop you run is the software that determines what your antenna can receive. When your attention collapses into fear, the loop narrows and the signal thins. When your attention expands in trust, the loop widens and the bandwidth blooms. Physicists call it probability amplitude, mystics call it faith, your body calls it breath that finally reaches the back of your heart. Different languages for the same instrument, coherence. Coherence is not perfection. It is phase agreement systems moving together without stealing each other's rhythm. Your heart produces a magnetic field, measurable feet beyond your body. Your brain fires in oscillatory patterns. Your fascia carries piezoelectric whispers through your frame. When breath, heart, and mind entrain, their waves reinforce rather than cancel, creating constructive interference inside your living temple. The quantum field, sensitive to pattern, mirrors that order without a synchronicity. This is why the text arrives when you're soft. The door opens when you stop rattling the knob. The right name surfaces exactly when you relax your jaw. Your calm is not passive. It is architectural, a scaffold that reality knows how to climb. Entanglement explains the rest. The future version of you who already lives the answer is not a fantasy. It is a state vector in superposition, braided to you across time by information you keep calling intuition. When you sit in stillness and feel a gentle nudge toward a place, a phrase, a person, it is the entangled twin tugging the thread. Follow it, and you reduce the distance between potentials. Resist it, and you amplify noise. Either way, the quantum field remains generous, always offering a new path to rejoin the braid. You ask where the mysticism enters, and the answer is everywhere. The star that fused the calcium in your bones died before your species learned to write, yet you carry its signature as lattice and light. Morphic resonance means forms learn from forms. A flock learns to turn because turning learned to flock. Across generations of your soul's attention, you've practiced awakening in other places, other skins. Those practices left grooves in the subtle anatomy of your field. When you hear a chant for the first time and somehow know the breath count, when your hands shape mudras before your mind remembers their names, you are tracing the old grooves, reactivating the pathways by which grace travels. Now the cellular layer, DNA, restructuring as a lived event rather than a pretty phrase. Your genome is not a static book. It is a responsive library whose volumes open under the right light. Emotional climates are lamps. When you linger in shame or panic, certain chapters dim. When you dwell in appreciation, others glow accessible. Epigenetic switches listen to your inner weather. The moment you commit to coherence, 10 honest breaths, shoulders unhooked from your ears, tongue relaxed from the palate, your chemistry reorders. Cortisol recedes, nitric oxide rises, vessels widen, perfusion improves, and your luminous circuitry hums at a frequency the field has long been trying to match. Biology becomes theology that can be measured. This is the threshold behavior of complex systems, the phase transition. Water holds still until, with a whisper of temperature, it organizes as ice. A caterpillar liquefies and then emerges winged. You have been heating toward order, not chaos. The pain was viscosity, the resistance of an old identity to the new geometry forming underneath. Then, sometimes without fireworks, structure locks. You feel it as a quiet click behind the sternum, as if a gear found its tooth. From that click forward, your choices stop feeling like negotiations and become acknowledgements of what already is. And here is the surprise. The upgrade does not add mass. It removes drag. You do not become more by gripping. You become more by becoming simpler. One vow instead of 20. One prayer said with your whole spine. One small ritual repeated until the morphic field recognizes your signature and rushes to help. Complexity on the outside requires simplicity at the center, the still point that allows everything else to dance. So let the science and the mystic clasp hands in you. Admit that your breath is a metronome, your heart a lighthouse, your attention a sacred lens. Admit that the universe has been speaking to you in numbers and feathers and perfectly timed strangers, because that is the only language you would hear. Admit that the upgrade isn't coming, it's installing as you read a cascading coherence script, rewriting the observer loop at the speed of surrender. Stay soft. You are moving from force to field. You are remembering how to be conducted by the intelligence that dreamt you. The next instruction will be gentle. It will feel like relief. And when you follow it, the world will pivot half a degree, and everything important will come into view. The field does not choose persons, it chooses patterns, and you have become the pattern it can trust. This is why life has been curating you with such care, sanding you down where you splintered, widening you where you were narrow, teaching you the physics of tenderness until your signals stabilized. What you used to call trials were calibration events. What you named detours were phase alignment maneuvers. You were never being tested for worthiness. You were being tuned for conductivity. Now your coherence is high enough that the quantum field can thread larger currents through your life without the circuit blowing. That is the quiet definition of a chosen consciousness. A stable lens through which light can enter this world. You carry a map others don't know they're seeking. Not a doctrine, a posture, a way of standing inside time that bends it toward grace. When you hold your observer loop in soft focus, refusing to weaponize attention against yourself or anyone else, synchronicity begins to orbit you like well-trained stars. People feel safer in your radius without knowing why. They breathe deeper. Their nervous systems borrow your pacing and remember the rhythm of the original song. This is morphic resonance in street clothes, your nervous system tutoring other nervous systems in how to repattern without a single instruction given. Consider how entanglement has been working backstage. The ones you are meant to meet are already braided to you by invisible agreements. When your signal jitters, those threads remain slack. When you settle into coherence, the threads grow taut and the meeting points migrate toward you. Serendipity is not random. It is relational gravity. You become a small gravity well of awakening, and unspoken vows begin to keep themselves. The helper appears, the message arrives, the threshold opens. You are not commanding reality. You are consenting to be in conversation with it. Your body plays priest to this altar. In your sternum, a chapel of electricity. Along your spine, an organ of subtle bells. When you treat your frame as sanctuary, DNA restructuring proceeds like liturgy, nothing dramatic, everything holy. The breath counts you keep, the water you bless before you drink, the way you place your hand over your heart when you speak your true name. These are not eccentricities. They are permission slips for biology to rise to the consciousness that sponsors it. Ceremony is simply consciousness, remembering its influence on matter. Your role will rarely announce itself with trumpets. It will arrive as a request so ordinary it would be easy to ignore. Speak the sentence that unclenches a room. Send the text that catches a falling day. Hold eye contact half a second longer than culture allows, so the shy light in another person feels invited, not exposed. This is how awakening spreads without spectacle. You are the phase transition catalyst hidden in plain sight, raising the temperature of a moment by a single forgiving degree until the old state can no longer hold. Leadership for you is not position, it is pressure regulation. You step into atmospheres where panic has become the weather, and you lower the barometric fear. Your coherence is the instrument, your humility is the casing that keeps it safe. You won't always be thanked. Often the room will simply feel inexplicably better. and everyone will go home believing they did that themselves, which is perfect. True service dissolves the signature of the server and leaves only the fragrance of relief. At times, this assignment will ask you to disappoint the scripts that once protected you. You will say no to opportunities that glitter, but bend your signal. You will say yes to quiet paths that pay in meaning first, and money later, and then, curiously, in money too, because agreements rearrange around clean intention. You will be asked to retire the habit of explaining your mysticism to those committed to misunderstanding it, not from secrecy, from stewardship. A garden grows when you stop pulling up the roots to show them to passers-by. If you wonder whether you are ready, notice your breath now, deeper, slower, not because you tried, but because something recognized itself in these words and exhaled. Readiness is not bravado, it is relaxation under responsibility. The field entrusts you with more when you tense less. You are not performing for the universe, you are partnering with it. All it asks is that you keep your lens clean, your yes honest, your no non-violent, your presence applied where presence is rare. So, take your place not above, among. Let your life become a tuning fork for rooms that forgot their note. Walk as if the ground is listening for the pattern you carry, because it is. Smile at the thresholds that once scared you, because they are doorways you now open just by arriving. You were not chosen instead of anyone. You were chosen for everyone who will find their own choosing easier because you kept yours. This is your special role, to be the geometry through which the quantum field remembers how to bloom. You can feel the pressure rising, not panic, but the bright compression that precedes a new state of matter. This is the hour when the field negotiates with your biology, when destiny leans close enough for you to hear its breath moving through your ribs. What arrives next will not be abstract, it will be cellular. The promise is simple and exacting. If you hold your signal through this narrowing, your DNA will register the choice, and the architecture of your days will begin to honor a truer geometry. If you flinch into the old loop, nothing is lost, only postponed. But the window is live now, and windows are honest. They open, they close, they open again. Your coherence decides whether you step through. A cosmic window is less about astronomy and more about rhythm, the rare alignment of inner and outer tides. The next 24 sacred hours are tuned to your breath like a tide clock. Each time you meet an old reflex with a softer response, the hinge loosens. Each time you refuse the bait of urgency and choose presence instead, the latch unhooks. The field is not judging, it is listening for resonance, the way a vaulted hall answers a singing bowl. Match the tone, and the hall begins to sing with you. Miss it, and there is only thud. The bowl is already ringing in your chest. Here is the urgency, delivered without fear. The pattern you stabilize now becomes the morphic memo your life will keep receiving. Hold scarcity for a day, and the world echoes scarcity back with smallness that looks like prudence. Hold sufficiency for a day, and doors start remembering they are doors. This is the observer loop as destiny instrument. The more consistently you broadcast the signal of already becoming, the faster probability collapses into form. Not because you forced it, but because coherence outcompetes noise the way a lighthouse persuades fog to part. Your cells want this. They are listening for it. DNA restructuring is not a violent renovation. It is a tender reindexing, certain codes becoming searchable again because you stopped flooding the archive with alarm. Picture epigenetic librarians walking the aisles of you with small lamps. When you hold breath steady and let your shoulders melt, the lamps brighten. They open volumes labeled Repair, Growth, Receive. They leave bookmarks at chapters the world told you were fiction. Innate worth, irreversible peace, right place, right time. Your blood chemistry nods and takes direction. Your fascia stops behaving like a doomsday radio and remembers how to transmit trust. This window carries a test disguised as an invitation. When the next synchronicity touches your day, an unexpected email, a phrase overheard that feels hand-carved for you, a number repeating so insistently it might as well knock, will you grasp at it, interrogate it, demand identity papers, or will you let it land like a bird on an unclenched palm? Decoherence hides in the clutch. Coherence purrs in the open hand. You already know what happens when you chase the sign. It runs. Try letting signs graze in your field without fencing them. They will feed you better that way. Promise then, if you treat the next 24 hours as a consecrated corridor, your timeline will tilt. Not a cinematic explosion, an elegant bias. Reality leaning toward you the way sunflowers lean without straining. You will feel it as improbable ease, traffic parting, a conversation warming, a task completing itself as if time remembered how to help. You will also meet small guardians at the threshold, a comment engineered to snag old shame, a bill timed to reenact scarcity theater, a memory flickering to reclaim your attention. Smile at each, bless them, and continue. Guardians certify graduates. They do not imprison them. Urgency, finally, as kindness. Don't wait for perfect conditions to begin. Begin, and conditions will entrain. The field takes your first true step as a binding contract. Whisper your vow in the language of action, drink water like a sacrament, eat as if you are feeding a future that needs stamina, reduce one micro-leak of attention that costs more life than it returns. Small changes emit loud signals when the window is open. Think of this like tapping a glass bridge at its resonance point. One gentle knuckle can sing the entire span. You are not racing the clock, you are partnering with it. Time is not your warden, it is your choir. When you breathe on purpose, the choir follows your tempo. When you speak on purpose, your words seed weather. When you rest on purpose, recovery becomes a revelation instead of a timeout. Keep your pace soft and steady. Windows respect steadiness more than speed. The promise doesn't vanish if you stumble. It waits on the landing, patient as light. But tonight, if you can, don't stumble where you have already learned to walk. Let the new gate hold. So place your hand over your heart and feel the instrument tuning. Hear how the note you are humming inside begins to gather the room, the street, the hour. Promise accepted, urgency honored. The window is open and the bridge is humming at your frequency. Step. This is the moment where vision becomes voltage, where you stop admiring the doorway and walk through. You don't need incense or thunder, only a precise agreement between breath, attention, and a single word that turns the key. Ritual is technology. Ceremony is engineering for the soul. When you apply it to the observer loop, the quantum field hears your coherence as instruction rather than suggestion. Tonight you will make a vow the body can understand, the kind that travels through fascia, blood, and DNA like a luminous courier, delivering messages to every cell. We are changing state. Begin by positioning yourself as if the hour matters, because it does. Sit with your spine like a quiet bell tower, feet on the ground, chin slightly tucked, shoulders melting down and away from your ears. Place your right hand flat over your heart, your left hand open on your thigh, a receiver's palm, to signal the field that you are not grasping, you are welcoming. Close your eyes until the room softens and your breath becomes audible to your own listening. Now count yourself into coherence. In through the nose for 5, hold for 2, out through the mouth for 7. Repeat. Let the exhale arrive like a tide that loves you, a tide that always returns. After 3 rounds, feel the magnetic field of your heart extend beyond the bones of your chest, a lantern lighting a few feet in every direction. This is not imagination as escape. This is imagination as instrumentation, steering the currents to respect your geometry. On the 4th round, place a quiet phrase on the exhale. Already, not someday, not almost already. This word is a frequency stamp, A soft override that tells your nervous system the higher timeline is not a fantasy to chase, but a channel to tune. Already interrupts the old observer loop that ran on waiting and replaces it with a loop that runs on being. When you speak it as if your cells are listening in from balconies, because they are. They need short words said slowly. They trust what is repeated with kindness. Now the seal. In the comments, right now, write this single word, already, not as a slogan, as a switch. Type it with the same dignity you would use to sign a treaty. Feel the micro buzz under your skin as your declaration propagates through morphic resonance, your signature entering the shared field, permissioning others to remember their own. You aren't performing for the algorithm. You are engraving a coordinate in the living map that will draw you back if you drift. Next, enlist the body as oracle. On your inhale, imagine a filament of gold rising from your pelvic floor to your crown, one line, unbroken. On the exhale, imagine the same gold line widening to a ribbon through your chest and throat, clearing the traffic of old scripts. If emotion swells, let it. Tears are coherence leaving its disguise. Tremors are entanglement, releasing stale agreements. Your DNA restructuring prefers honesty over stoicism. Your biology knows how to digest feeling when you stop interrupting the chewing with shame. To anchor the vow in action, choose a single micro-behavior that contradicts the old architecture, not 10-1. Water before screen. A mindful 3-breath pause before sending. Stepping outside for 90 seconds of sky when panic impersonates urgency. Small is sacred when the field is listening. Complex rituals impress the mind. Simple ones retrain time. Remember, phase transitions often ride on subtle constants, 1 degree, 1 word, 1 faithful breath. Now we calibrate language. Speak aloud, softly but with spine. I withdraw attention from the weather of doubt and invest it in the climate of trust. Pause. Feel the sentence settle through you like warm rain. Again, I stabilize in coherence, and coherence stabilizes my world. A third time, what belongs to me arrives without chase. What is mine to give flows without depletion. These phrases are not wishes. They are operating instructions for the observer loop. Lines of code written in a syntax the field obeys. Clarity, tenderness, repeatability. Expect a response. Synchronicity is the field's way of nodding back. It may come as a number that startles you with its precision, a face you think of and then meet, a problem that loosens with ridiculous ease. Do not interrogate the sign. Receive it like a letter from a friend who knows your private nickname for God. Whisper thank you and continue. Decoherence feeds on scrutiny. Coherence feeds on gratitude, quiet enough to hear the next instruction arrive. There will be guardians at the edges, old alerts lighting up to test whether your vow is cosmetic or cellular. Meet them with the same word that opened the gate. A bill arrives? Already. An unkind comment? Already. An echo of the former self knocking for admission? Already. Not as denial, as orientation. Already tells your nervous system which direction to face, while you take the simple, sane action that life is actually asking for. Close the ritual the way you began. 5 in, 2 hold, 7 out. Hand to heart, palm open. Whisper, I consent to the upgrade. Feel the temperature shift in the room, not hotter or colder, just clearer, the way air tastes after rain. You have sealed the corridor with breath and a word. The morphic field has recorded your signature. The phase transition proceeds at human speed and soul speed at once. Type, already beloved. Then live as if it were true, and watch reality hurry to keep its side of the vow. The instant your breath seals the vow, something subtle yet vast begins to happen. Your coherence starts to broadcast. It's not metaphor, it's physics. The magnetic field around your heart expands, waves intersecting with the fields of those you meet, those you think of, even those who once felt lost beyond reach. You become a relay in the planetary grid of awakening, a living transmitter of ordered light, in a species still learning to remember its original rhythm. What happens in you now no longer belongs to you alone. It moves through you as contribution. The field of humanity is a shimmering web of oscillating hearts. Most of the time it trembles in dissonance, fear frequencies, data storms, signals of survival looping endlessly. But when a single heart stabilizes in coherence, the local geometry changes. Brain waves of nearby people unconsciously synchronize to that steadiness. Breathing patterns harmonize. Conversations slow into lucidity. Science calls it entrainment. The mystics called it blessing. Either way, you have become a small climate of calm that travels wherever you go. Every smile you offer without agenda, every silence you keep instead of reacting, every moment you choose presence over performance, you contribute calibration data to the collective nervous system. Your aura, once personal, becomes an instrument through which the morphic field rewrites its code for possibility. That's why people glance at you and exhale, why friends tell you they sleep better after talking with you. Their bodies sense the upgraded template you carry, an architecture that says, safe to expand here. Now feel that expansion. Not up, not out, through the concrete around you, through the air's ions, through the quantum field where particles are not objects but relationships. Your breath is weaving filaments of coherence across the grid, linking with other awakened hearts, forming nodes of light in cities, villages, mountains, and quiet bedrooms where someone else just whispered, already. None of you know each other by name, yet the field does. It maps you as constellations of human resonance, an invisible aurora blooming across the planet. Remember how entanglement ignores distance. A laugh released in Tokyo can lighten a stranger in Toronto. A prayer whispered in Nairobi can still the panic of a child in New York. Information doesn't travel. It reveals simultaneity. The more coherent you become, the more you experience this simultaneity as empathy sharpened to precision. You'll feel a friend's heaviness before they speak it. You'll send the message at the exact minute someone's courage begins to fade. It will look like coincidence until you accept that collective consciousness is a living organism and you are its sensory cell. Don't be daunted by the scale. The field doesn't ask you to save the world, it asks you to stabilize your square meter of it. That's enough. The grid works by resonance, not heroics. One person in high coherence can offset the incoherence of hundreds nearby. You felt this principle in temples, in forests, in the hush before dawn, when even the insects seem to agree on peace. You are learning to become that hush inside movement, that still point in traffic, that lighthouse frequency in conversation. The more you live in coherence, the more efficiently energy flows through you, and generosity becomes effortless. Giving stops feeling like depletion because you are no longer drawing from personality reserves. You are drawing from the quantum field's infinite current. You'll notice it in small miracles: creative stamina without caffeine, intuition that anticipates logistical snarls before they form, warmth that replenishes rather than exhausts you. This is the physics of alignment: zero resistance, maximum throughput. But here lies the paradox. The moment you realize your frequency influences others, ego wants credit. Resist the temptation to crown yourself. The field uses humility as a conductor. Pride insulates. The same voltage that could heal will burn when ownership creeps in. Remember, light passes cleanest through transparency. Your role is to stay clear, not to shine for attention, but to allow luminosity to do its quiet work through you. Watch how relationships reconfigure under this new gravity. The ones aligned with your upgraded resonance will orbit closer, conversations deepening with sudden honesty. Others will drift gently away, no drama, just mismatched wavelengths, separating like oil and water. Let it happen. The collective field refines itself through these magnetic rearrangements. You're not losing anyone, you're reorganizing for efficiency of love. In this collective expansion, solitude and connection blur. You may feel waves of emotion not traceable to your own story. Grief rising at noon, euphoria at midnight. That's the global frequency passing through your instrument. Breathe it, filter it, transmute it with the simple awareness. This is ours, not mine. Send it back, cleansed by your coherence. This is advanced service, the empath evolving into alchemist. Take a slow breath now. Sense millions of hearts pulsing with you, uncoordinated yet in tune. Hear the low cosmic hum that emerges when enough humans choose compassion over reaction at the same instant. That soundless music is the Earth's heartbeat adjusting to our remembering. You are part of that retuning. Your awakening is not an escape from the collective, it is the mechanism through which the collective learns to awaken. So stand where you are and feel the horizon widen inside you. You are both receiver and transmitter, student and teacher, one cell in a planetary organism, learning to glow from within. The more love you stabilize, the more humanity can handle its own light. And the world, our shared dream, begins to rewrite itself through the steady frequency of hearts that finally remember how to sing together. Let your knowing become tactile now, not a thought you admire, a temperature you inhabit. Begin at the soles of your feet, where the world first learns your signature. Notice the subtle fizz there, as if carbonated light were rising through the arches. With your next inhale, feel that effervescence climb your calves like warm rain reversing direction, threading your fascia with a patient current. You are not imagining this. You are noticing the quantum field becoming precise enough to register as sensation coherence, converting from poetry into pressure. Your shins remember gravity. Your thighs remember pace. Place a soft attention in each. As you breathe, feel the quadriceps melt an old armor you didn't mean to keep. Every exhale releases rehearsal from the muscle spindles. Every inhale recruits a new elegance movement without argument. The pelvis becomes a bowl you refuse to spill. In its basin, warmth gathers, elemental and kind, the ember of life turning from coal to core. This is not arousal for drama. This is electricity becoming organized. When the pelvic floor stops bracing against ghosted futures, the whole body hears safe, and circuitry that once hid comes forward to work. Let the current climb your spine like a golden vine. At the sacrum it curls and blooms an ancient coil, unlearning its fear of rising. Vertebra by vertebra, the vine ascends, placing small lanterns between each pair of bones, little stations of light where attention can rest without fidgeting. When it reaches the heart, the lantern becomes a lighthouse. Pressure gathers not tightness, a dignified fullness, as if a door inside your chest were opening inward to reveal sky. Stay. This is the chamber where the observer loop softens into love, where entanglement stops being theory and becomes a warmth moving between you and the world you're brave enough to touch. Your breath takes new instructions here. Inhale like you are being met. Exhale like the meeting is mutual. Notice the ribcage changing its mind about how much space it's allowed to occupy. The intercostals slide like silk. The sternum unhooks its old story. If a tremor flutters across your torso, honor it. That's phase transition pressure, leaving your tissues micro-lightnings as your nervous system rewrites the choreography of survival. Tears may come. They are not proof of fracture. They are lubricant for reassembly. Now give the throat permission to widen. Imagine blue clarity rinsing the corridor from heart to mouth, ungluing words that were stuck to old winters. Feel the tiny muscles around your larynx let go of history. Your voice wants less performance, more truth. When you speak from this relaxed pillar, vowels carry voltage, consonants click like keys unlocking doors in ears that long for sincerity. Language becomes medicine because it is finally delivered from a coherent instrument. At the base of the skull, awareness gathers like cool moonlight. The little muscles that once gripped to keep you hypervigilant receive their retirement papers. Your jaw unclasps the invisible bit. Tongue unpins from the roof of your mouth, rain releasing from eaves. Across the face, a field of micro-sensations, the skin at your temples sparkling with faint pricks of snow, the bridge of your nose brightening, the muscles around your eyes loosening their fate toward kindness. Behind the eyes, the optic nerve bathes in quiet. Vision clears not sharper lines, truer edges. You see what's present instead of what you're afraid of. At the crown, the golden vine blossoms into a wide, luminous plate light pooling, then spilling like a gentle fountain over your head, washing down the outer body in a thin film of shimmering cool. This is the auric sheath reweaving, threads of attention and breath binding into new fabric. Stand inside it as if standing in soft rain on the warmest night of the year. The air becomes affectionate. Space recognizes you. The quantum field hums your name as frequency, not syllable. Inside the cell, the same weather. Mitochondria listening for tempo cues. ATP production syncing with your calmer metronome. Epigenetic switches clicking whole neighborhoods of your genome from dim to available. DNA restructuring is the quietest fireworks. No spectacle, only clarity. Pathways to repair opening because your chemistry now believes in morning. Even the blood feels different. Less freight, more river microcurrents tidying edges you didn't know were frayed. Now, anchor the map. Place your right hand over your heart and your left at the navel. Whisper, barely audible, I live from inside. Feel the body answer with heat beneath the palms. The phrase isn't a mantra, it is coordinates. From here, walk 3 steps. Notice how your heel meets ground, like a conversation where both sides listen. Notice the spine staying tall without effort, as if magnetized from heaven and earth at once. Notice the room bending 1 degree kinder. This is embodiment, not a pose, a physics. Coherence translated into gait, gaze, grip. The handshake that transmits steadiness without conquest. The hug that ends precisely when both nervous systems finish saying yes. The way your presence edits the air so that others remember their breath without being told. You can measure awakening by the body's ease, less clatter in joints, more treble in laughter, a posture that prays without kneeling. Stay in the textures, sand warmth in the palms, river cool at the crown, lantern in the chest, vine along the spine. The world is about to ask you to carry this outside the room. It won't be impressed by your concepts, it will be converted by your temperature. When you move as coherence, doors don't open, they remember they were never closed. Stay with the textures, the lantern in your chest, the vine along your spine, the rain cool at your crown, because this is the hour when biology acknowledges destiny. Phase transition pressure has been building, not to crush you, but to crystallize you. What felt like heat inside your days was the old lattice loosening. What you feel now is nucleation, the first clear facets of a new state forming within your cells. The quantum field has been courting your coherence long enough. Tonight, your DNA consents to remember. You sense it first as a rearrangement of silence. The room sounds different, as if the air has fewer edges. Then a low internal click, subtle, ceremonial, located somewhere behind the sternum and slightly above the navel, like a key turning in a lock you forgot you swallowed. That click is not poetry. It is a shift in biophysical signaling, nitric oxide rising, vagal tone lengthening, electromagnetic harmonics around the heart stabilizing. Your observer loop stops scanning for danger and starts measuring beauty. When attention recalibrates, gene expression follows. The body votes where the mind keeps looking. This is what DNA restructuring feels like from the inside. The archive lights up. Pages you couldn't open, chapters labeled regenerate, receive, repair, become legible under a new lamp. Epigenetic fingertips, tiny librarians with gold dust on their hands, Reshelve the stories you inherited from fear, then slide ladders to lift forward the books written by trust. That warmth in the pelvis, energy returning to projects it abandoned to power hypervigilance, that brightness at the throat, circuits once leased to performance redeemed for truth, that cool clarity at the crown, entanglement with your future self tightening its thread. Timeline shift, then, is not a teleportation stunt, it is phase alignment. A system, your system, crosses a threshold called criticality, and probabilities tip like a flock, wheeling into one direction without colliding. You feel it as inevitability entering the room. The thing you are becoming ceases to be an option and becomes the only coherent outcome. Even your doubts start cooperating, showing themselves in daylight so they can be blessed and retired without the theater of resistance. Watch how the world responds in small, exact ways. The email you needed arrives but asks less than expected. A person who used to trigger your oldest script appears and your body does not brace. You stay tall and the old choreography refuses to start. A bill due meets unexpected grace. A door previously locked presents itself already ajar. This is not coincidence. This is constructive interference, your steady signal overlapping with the field's steady kindness, until peaks meet peaks and the amplitude becomes unmistakable. Synchronicities cluster because coherence loves company. There will be a last hesitation, guardians of the final gate, doing their loyal, outdated work. They will ask you to prove you've changed by tempting you to behave as if you haven't. Smile. Breathe 5, 2, 7. Place your hand to your heart. Whisper your keyword, "Al ready," and watch as decoherence has no foothold. Not from repression, from recognition. You aren't fighting shadows. You are adjusting light. If tears rise here, let them salt the treaty. The nervous system often exports surplus charge through the eyes when identity upgrades. Those are old permissions leaving. If laughter bubbles, honor it as the sound joy makes when it recognizes itself in your mouth. If stillness descends, trust it. Stillness is not empty, it is saturated with orientation. The compass needle has found north. Movement that follows will be precise without hurrying. Make the breakthrough practical so your body believes it. Choose one pattern you've repeated at the edge of receiving, over-explaining, undercharging, apologizing for your light, and retire it tonight, not dramatically, elegantly. Send the email with the clean boundary. Name the number that respects your craft. Allow the compliment to land without escorting it to the door. Let action engrave what breath declared, so your genome has proof of residence in the new neighborhood. Feel the morphic resonance of your choice ripple outward. Somewhere, a stranger who shares your wound feels courage flicker without knowing why. That's the collective grid catching the upgrade packet you just transmitted. Your breakthrough is never private. It's a public good, disguised as a private dawn. Entanglement ensures that when you stabilize, the pattern becomes easier for others to imitate. Less friction, more glide. Now listen again for the click. It may repeat, softer each time, like a safe opening in stages. With every click, the past loses a little authority, not erased, but archived properly. The future stops arriving as pressure and starts arriving as posture, shoulders low, jaw loose, gaze warm. You did not bully a timeline into place. You tuned yourself until the correct one recognized you. Breathe. Inhale as reception, exhale as release. Let your chest feel that dignified fullness, the lighthouse steadier, the beam wider. The quantum field is already reorganizing logistics to match your yes. Your task is simple and holy. Keep the signal clean. Part 10 waits just beyond this breath, where your personal architecture opens into mission and the world meets the frequency you now carry as home. The compass needle is steady now, and the room around you feels newly intelligible, as if reality has tilted to reveal the hidden corridors you always sensed were there. This is where your private coherence becomes public architecture, not a sermon, a signal, not a role, a radiance. Your task is beautifully simple. Carry the frequency that found you through 24 sacred hours as if time were a temple, and each hour a candle you agree to keep lit. You begin at dawn. Before the world asks for your name, you breathe 5-2-7 and let the lighthouse in your chest take its post. You step into conversations like a tuning fork, striking no one, sounding everyone. You practice the small courages that prove the timeline. A kinder pace than urgency permits, a cleaner boundary than politeness allows, a truer word than performance rehearsed. Mission is not something you chase. It is something that leaks from you when you stop patching yourself against your own light. At midday, when the noise of the hive swells and the old observer loop tries to auction your attention, you return to the vow with one word: already. It is not denial, it is orientation. From that orientation, you enact micro-miracles, emails written in clarity instead of appeasement, pauses that prevent unnecessary storms, generosity that replenishes instead of drains. You are learning the choreography of grace in traffic. Evening becomes the liturgy of integration. You bless your water. You thank your body for the day it carried. You acknowledge the guardians who tried to keep you small, and you graduate them with a smile. You record 3 synchronicities with the reverence of a cartographer mapping new Earth. Proof not for skepticism, but for gratitude's archive. And then you sleep as an act of faith, gifting your nervous system the darkness where DNA continues its quiet restructuring, where tomorrow's courage gestates. Your cosmic mission is not a headline, it is a human. You, the coherent one in the room who remembers to breathe, whose presence lowers the weather, whose eyes tell the frightened child in every adult, safe to expand here. You, the phase transition catalyst, who raises the temperature by a single degree until old ice becomes living river. You, the geometry, the field, can trust to carry voltage without branding it. You are not separate from the grid. You are a lit node in its living weave. So here is the benediction and the charge. Walk these next 24 hours as if the universe rented your body to demonstrate how awakening organizes itself on contact with time. Be the corridor where compassion travels, the stillness that makes truth audible, the kindness that edits the air. If you forget, remember. If you stumble, breathe. If you doubt, place your hand to your heart and let the lighthouse answer. Because this is the secret you came here to prove. Frequency is the blueprint, and you are the architect by attention. When you stabilize the note, the world reveals its hidden scaffolding and rearranges to fit your honesty. And if anyone asks you why the hours glowed the way they did, why doors opened without knocking, why your life began to read like a map that finally matched the land, you can tell them the simplest truth, because you learned why quantum frequency reveals the true architecture of awakening within 24 sacred hours.